It's a. Yo guys and girls, and welcome to part 2. We are back with Michael Knowles debates Gen Z girls on viral trans clips. So let's not muck around, because we did loads on the last intro and the last one got me raging, got me angry. So if you didn't see that one, go please watch part 2. Without further ado, let's jump onto this and crack right back in.
Women after menopause, or the women who never get their period.
So physically,
are they not women either?
Physically speaking, one, those are pretty big differences, and there are other differences too in terms of their bone density and the shape of
Oh yeah, because you're gonna. Yeah.
But also there are the chromosomal differences, which is that that woman, as you call it, still chromosomally is a man. And then beyond that, are you actually saying that women are just their bodies? That a woman is nothing more than?
Are you saying a woman is just her chromosomes? She's nothing more than just her chromosomes?
I'm saying a woman is.
With the chromosomes though comes loads of other stuff, like I said in the last video, smell, height, attraction, size of the hands, and all those things. You know, all of those things are dictated to by the chromosomes. So the fact that women have like small dainty hands and cute little feet and all of those things are things that attract men to them.
Much more than all of that actually.
Me too. That's why I'm saying that.
But not just chromosomes.
If she feels, since the
a
day she was woke up in this,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes, and that person woke up the first day of their conscience, and since they can remember, they remember their soul being a woman or a man or whatever.
Well, that's usually not true. That's usually a sexual fetish that develops.
Yeah, like most of these cases don't start when kids are young. They do these days because we've normalized it. But it's like anything, if you don't talk about it, kids won't know about it. So if you didn't mention transgender people until 18, kids would have a much better decision-making process at the age of 18.
Everyone feels that way.
Well, that's
no,
why.
So do you believe people aren't gay either then? Do you believe nobody's gay and they just do it for attention as well?
To say I am gay means that I have an attraction to a member of the
same. Yeah, it's not the same thing. People are born gay. These people make a choice to be the opposite gender. It's not the same thing. I covered that in another video, so please go have a look at the different. There is a fundamental difference between being born gay and choosing to be trans. It just is.
Okay,
and in fact, if I was gay, I said this in my previous video, if I was gay, I wouldn't associate with trans people still, because being gay is a sexuality. Being gay is like me being straight. You know, like me dating women is like other men dating men. That's being gay. Being with a man is gay, not being the opposite gender. That's got nothing to do with it, not even the same thing.
I'm just clarifying, because a lot of people who usually do this trans argument are also arguing that gay people don't exist either.
Nobody denies that certain people have different sexual attractions. In fact,
people deny it all the time. Actually, they say it's a choice that they're choosing.
Yeah, because it's a sexuality. Being gay is a form of sexual preference. It's not a gender. It's not the same argument. Gay people don't want to use female toilets. Gay people don't want to play on female football teams and baseball teams and do female weightlifting and swimming. They don't want to do that. They just want to date other men.
Do that. They're not born that way.
They're certainly choosing to engage in certain behaviors.
But
that's true.
Choosing to engage because it's your biological driven.
No, you can
duty.
Suppress your own desires. I have all sorts of desires that I repress.
Yes, you can suppress your own desires, but why should somebody?
I don't agree with him on that. I don't agree with him on that. I don't agree that gay people should have to suppress their desires. I totally disagree. This is where I disagree with a lot of people on the right. Or be classed as the right, because they bang on about religion but live in fact, and I'm like, you can't do both. It's like, who are you trying to trick?
It's just hard seltzer.
Yes, you can express your own desires, but why should somebody have to suppress, if it's two legal consenting adults, why should somebody have to suppress that just because they're the same gender?
Because we have obligations to reality and to the truth.
What's the reality? The reality is we should be a man and a woman. That's the reality?
The reality is that a man in a dress is not a man. or is not a woman.
Okay, but now
rather.
I was trying to get away from something else.
This is why the whole
Go ahead,
thing
Sam.
goes back to where it's called transgender and not transsex. Like you can't change your sex. To the down to the bottom of it, your chromosomes are going to be your chromosomes, but they're changing their gender. And gender is a man-made thing. It's something that we've created. We've created genders and gender roles in our society. We did not create sex. Yes, there's men and...
Yeah, we have created gender roles, and now there's millions of them. Now there's thousands of them. We're at a point now where they're creating more gender. Do you know what I mean? So these women are kind of arguing themselves into a cul-de-sac here, because they're saying that like man created male and female, which are the two people are born, and then they've added another 50,000 on top. So nobody is creating gender except for you freaks who keep allowing people to believe that they're the opposite gender when they're not, because gender and sex are kind of intertwined. They are very much intertwined in regards to the societal debate of what we're talking about here. Because if it wasn't, then why can't these guys just use our toilets still? I've got no beef as a man with men who think they're women using my toilets or playing in men's sports or doing any of that thing. No beef with it whatsoever. But it's the crossover between stepping into a woman's rights.
Female, that goes back to science or God, whatever you would like to say.
So if gender is man-made, then you're saying it's artificial, it's not real.
It's not real.
Oh, okay, so then who cares?
Exactly, so why do you care?
Oh, well, if it's not real, then the trans woman is just a man.
For you,
you said-
maybe.
'cause you
But
said the
for
gender's not
her,
real.
she's a woman.
But
and
I
that's
think
fine.
gender is
And I
real.
don't think it should bother you, and I don't think it should get all these little incel men angry about it.
There we go. Let's see. Now, I'll be called an incel men when I'm defending her rights. If she wants to go and be a weightlifter and trains for the next 10 years to be a professional weightlifter, and there's a bloke competing against her, well, is she really going to accept that after giving up 10 years of her life and commitment? It's nothing to do with being incel. It's because it's the opposite. It's because we actually care. And like I've explained, we genuinely care about women's rights. We don't want women to get raped in jail. We don't want women to get abused. We don't want women to be put in a position where they're feeling uncomfortable in changing rooms and the gym. It's an issue men have to take up, because not only is it to defend women, but also now we have to defend ourselves in regards to we're being told that we should be sexually attracted to these people.
Do you not think...
I mean, okay, I think the issue is that this whole conversation, it makes the male role, right? It kind of creates the more, I don't know. I just think the whole argument about gender, it's so pushed out into our society. I don't think it's like this in the rest of the world right now.
Right.
There's so many other issues.
It's not because the rest of the world don't accept it. Russia have gone to war to stop this stupid Western ideology landing on their doorstep. Yeah, she's right in regards to the rest of the world wouldn't allow the mentalness of it.
Like
the rest of the world knows what men and women are.
62 different genders.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane. I mean, I'm not hateful towards anyone. I think as long as you're a good person, you can do whatever you want. I just don't like that it's pushed on.
And yeah, I think that's very fair. As long as you're a good person and you're trying your best and you're not intrinsically out in the world harming people, then yeah, then that's a fair argument. But then when you're stepping on people's toes and are trying to change the rights of people, then make me have to call these people women. It's weird.
Children, because like a lot of people that
it is live your life. Go on, crack on, live your life, but don't dictate to me how I have to live mine. Then is the problem with that.
These surgeries, they regret it, and then a lot of children that are put onto hormones, it really messes with your.
And also, obviously, this is something that is brand new to our society, and there needs to be a lot more research done and more understanding about it, and like there needs to be laws done. So I understand. I don't think kids should be getting their parts changed.
But I guess my question is, what?
Okay, so what is your stop off? So it's all right for adults. See what I mean? Like, you pick and choose the bits that they like. It's like a religion. They're picking and choosing. If you go watch my video on James O'Brien versus the pastor, you'll hear me say that people in religion and people with these ideologies pick and choose the bits that they like. There's no sense to it. If you're a woman who thinks they're a man, or a man who thinks they're a woman, that's absolutely fine, is what these people are saying. But if you're a man who thinks you're a baby, if you're a man who thinks you're a dog, if you're a boy child that thinks you're a girl child, then that's not all right. You can't. You, like I said before, you're either all or nothing.
They have to be 18. That's already in place.
No, that's not true. The transition process can start much younger than
hormones,
that.
yes, but they in
obviously
America,
puberty blockers
yeah, but in America you cannot get surgery before the age of 18.
Yeah, but they can put you onto hormones.
You can in America.
Yeah, because the laws are somewhat ambiguous.
They can cut your brain.
Yeah, they can.
But like I used to teach a lot, and just from experience, and I don't know much, so I don't want to like say too much.
No, you're right about almost everything. I'm very impressed with how right you are.
Right and wrong, like I don't know.
Yeah, she's speaking sense, like because she's not American as well. Because she's like sounds like she's Eastern European. Different, isn't she? Different.
I mean, like
Oh, I'm telling you, I don't care. You can tell me no, but you're right about these
so
basic
I
things
teach a
like
lot
gender
of kids,
roles. Yeah.
right? And a lot of kids I notice that have a lot of these gender issues, and then they wear their gender on their sleeve, and then they're like, I'm gay, or they're very
victim mentality. It's a victim mentality. It's like they wear it on their sleeve so people will go, oh, you're a victim. You don't think you're a gender that you think you are. And it's just like, God almighty. This is no shame.
They're like, they tend to have depression. They're very like, I feel like they need support and help, not just in the gender department where people are pushing them, oh, maybe you should be gay, or maybe you should do this. Like, there's much more.
I had a girl come up to me, I was giving a speech, and she said, hey, Michael, thanks for speaking out on the transgender thing, because I had gender dysphoria, and she was young. I mean, this girl was a teenager. And she said, I had gender dysphoria, and my psychologists were starting to push me down this path of transition.
That's
Wow.
wrong. I believe that's wrong.
Well, she said, luckily, I had good parents and a good priest.
Wow. That's really bad psychiatry, because they're not supposed to offer you any advice. They're supposed to nurture you. They're supposed to be talking, asking questions, and never supposed to offer advice.
And they said, you're not actually a boy. And guess what happened? She kept going to see psychologists. They figured out that actually she had undiagnosed autism. So they started treating her autism, and what do you know? Her gender dysphoria greatly abated. Now it's basically...
It goes back to good family.
Exactly, and because I've been teaching in San Francisco.
It doesn't always go back to good family at all. There's plenty of instances out there where people from good families fuck up.
It's 2016, so I've seen a lot of how that affects kids. I teach kids all the way from TK through high school. So, yes.
Wow, this woman's a teacher. She believes all this stuff, and she's a teacher. It's dangerous, man.
There is definitely a correlation between the two, but it's typically because those kids, depression can be something that's brought onto you from your environment, or it could be something that's just a chemical imbalance in your brain. It doesn't have to be from a situation.
The chemical imbalance is kind of
forget.
debunked,
but usually, a lot of these times is why there's this correlation is because they find that the LGBTQ community or whatever is more accepting. So they think, oh, just because my friends that I choose to hang out with are gay and stuff means I must be. Yes, that's a problem. Yes, they shouldn't be able to just now go to their therapist and say, I want to now change my hormones for sure. That's why I don't, in that situation it was a priest, but in a lot of cases it's usually another therapist intervention. I'm sure you can, in some places it's easy, but I don't have any trans friends personally, but I've watched a lot of experiences online. It is not easy to just go through these surgeries. You have to get documents from family,
It never
friends.
used to be. It's much easier now. I know somebody who transitioned in under 18 months.
Therapists, psychiatrists, everything. It's not just you wake up one day and say, okay, I'm a boy. They're going to give you hormones. They're going to chop off and do this.
Well,
That's not how it works.
I talked to a girl who that is actually exactly what happened. She walked into a Planned Parenthood. She said she had gender dysphoria and she wanted to receive testosterone. And she was able to receive that prescription very quickly.
Testosterone and hormones, it's a lot easier because, well, unless you're prepubescent, most of the things, not all of them are reversible because, like, especially testosterone.
It's definitely not. What's she on about? And it goes against what she just said. She just said you can't do it. Literally, you can do it. Literally, her next argument is, okay, you can get testosterone and hormones, but you just said you can't do it as a kid.
It's not all reversible, but with those things, I could see how it is easier because it is a hormone, because just how those things are given out for other situations.
Yeah, it's insane.
She didn't say that. She said it wasn't easier.
The problem, I guess, is this, which is if you really believe, as you say, that for some people are faking it, right? And some people think they're a cat, and they're not a cat. But for some people, I don't know who these people are, there are really men who are secretly somehow women, and therefore they should transition to become women. So the question is, at what point were they the wrong sex? It's from the moment of birth, right? They were born that way. So if they were born that way, then why wouldn't we trans the kids?
Because that's the whole thing is, how can a child be so certain?
What an amazing question. Yeah, but they're born that way.
To grow into those emotions and feelings.
I thought they knew from you just said they knew from the earliest moments.
Yes, they've known from the beginning that something was wrong. That's usually what it is. They know something's wrong, that they're not fitting. Like, for example, it's
but
not.
Sometimes they grow out of it.
Well,
I honestly, I really don't think.
Yeah, sometimes they do grow out of it. Of course they do. Like, kids think all the time. Kids have imaginary friends. Kids speak to strangers for years that nobody sees.
Grow out of it. I think they're either conditioned to not do it, or they realize the other way might be easier,
or that there's
and then there are people who are faking it. Yeah.
For a lot of people who suffer gender dysphoria, or used to be called gender identity disorder, the vast majority of teenagers who suffer that will grow out.
Yeah.
Within a few years,
Definitely.
Gender dysphoria will go away. For some smaller percentage, that dysphoria persists. And
I think you're confusing maybe gender dysphoria, or not just you, but these stats and people who report back are confusing sometimes gender dysphoria versus not feeling like, I don't know, a woman when you're growing up, or feeling like a man.
So
that's also what people, there's so many terminology and words and buzzwords out there these days that
Maybe
people
it's
try to
the same
label
thing.
themselves with anything when sometimes it's just not that deep.
Wait, so Kiko, I have a question. I kind of asked this last show. And
Crazy logic, isn't it? Like, I'm just trying to process that logic, and it's tough. Like she said, you was born that way, but we shouldn't treat the kids. But if they're born that way, but then it's too easy to get testosterone, but it's not. And then she's a teacher. Like, honestly, she's blown my mind with stupidity. Yeah, I don't know how to respond.
I don't think I really got a proper answer on it. So my question was, ignoring gender identity, ignoring gender, if we're just looking at sex, if two males, I'm not talking about two men, I'm talking about two males. If two males were to have sex, is that not gay? Is that not homosexual? I'm not saying it's wrong, but is that...
Yeah, that's gay, isn't it? Two men have sex, that's gay.
Since sexuality
is or homosexual.
I base sexuality off of gender, so I would need to know their gender and not their chromosomes.
So if you dated a guy,
question.
you were dating, or let's say you were married.
What this woman teaches kids? This fucking enraging, isn't it? This woman teaches kids. She teaches your young kids. It's like, oh God, she couldn't even answer that question.
This guy, he's been your husband for 10 years, and then one day he says, "I'm a woman now," and you went and you engaged in that thing married couples engage in. Would you say you're a lesbian now? So the husband you've been married to for 10 years?
She wouldn't be a lesbian, but maybe she's bisexual now, or maybe she's...
No, but her husband is now her wife,
but
right?
I get what you're trying to get at.
Yeah.
Your point you're trying to get at.
Here we go.
Technically, yeah. I mean,
you don't
I think
believe
it's...
that.
Yeah, she doesn't believe that, does she? Look at her going...
I think it would be ridiculous,
Yes.
like, for people to, like, you know, go out in public and not transition themselves at all and expect to be, like, if you thought your pronouns were she, hers, to expect people to refer to you as she, her, or ma'am, whatever, presenting yourself like this. Yeah, I think things like that are ridiculous.
Yeah.
There has to be some types where it says gender roles.
So then
that's the whole reason why they're wanting to say they're transgender, is because they want to follow the other gender role, right? So follow the gender
So then
role
instead,
But
this is a great point, because this is where I differ from some of the conservatives here. A lot of the conservatives say gender expression's totally fake and sex is all that matters. And I'm kind of with you in the sense that I think gender expression obviously is real. There are feminine men, there are masculine women. All
We understand that.
But instead of concluding, therefore, that we have the right not only to have any gender expression we want, but actually to be the different sex and to call myself a woman or call myself a man, why didn't we take in the other direction and say, if you're a man, there's obviously diversity is the spice of life, but you have a general obligation to act like a man. And if you're a woman, you can be kind of diverse and you can be a little more tomboyish maybe or whatever, but you have a general obligation to act like a woman.
I think that is a very, very fair question to ask, because he's right in what he said. There are feminine men, there are masculine women, but... You know, wouldn't it be right just to say, like, you are kind of what you are, to the point of you are not someone trapped in someone else's body? Now, that's a fascinating take. Michael Knowles is really good at what he does. He's very, very calm in the opposite to kind of the way I would express my thing. As you can tell, these two videos have kind of gotten me up, irate a little bit, just due to the fact that I see the ideology being forced on people like it's a religious ideology. Extreme idea of it all is quite intimidating, is quite pressured, is quite... You have to encompass the whole idea that I have to be attracted to, that they are actually women, that they or men, whatever they decide to transition into, and vice versa. But I tend to see it from a male point of view more than anything, and look at it from men interrupting female rights in everything that women have fought for. I think if you go back and look at the real feminists back in the 60s, I don't think many of them would have suffered very well with this idea of men walking into women's stuff and sort of taking it over and being the more dominant force in it. As I said, Michael Knowles does know his stuff. Look out there, look out for some of his stuff, look out for some of his videos, some of his clips. This is the At Whatever podcast that I was reacting to. I think some of these women they just talk themselves into cul-de-sac sometimes. It's like there's no way you can believe some of it but not all of it, because at what point do your cut off is cut off, and actually discrediting some people who don't believe in any of it are kind of just discrediting the whole idea as opposed to discrediting individual people. So we will leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a good one. Much love from me. Comment, like, subscribe. Peace.